The whole purpose of this universe and the creation of these lower dimensional levels, we've plunged down into this reality here. And what we say about the grand plan of creation was Lucifer holds the white light of knowledge, and so therefore he's got the knowledge on how to build, how to manifest things into physical being, into reality with that physical knowledge. Like you have a suburb and then you have people that come in and they build the infrastructure, they build the roads and the houses and the sewerage and what have you, and then the people move in and occupy that reality, that realm. It's the same. Lucifer with his or her minions, it's genderless, came down into these lower frequencies, and with the help of what's called the seraphim angels, seraphic angels, which are the serpentine energy of angels, started manifesting life. The first forms of life that was manifested in these lower levels of reality were like insect in nature. They were just mechanical beings that just did. They didn't have much thought. Vegetated, no thought basically. They're just totally reactive on pretty much a physical, like a chemical reactive type of instinct. And they evolved over time, and some of the races of the insects became consciously aware, and then they moved on. And then after that they thought, well, we need a new form of life. We need these guys work in colonies, not much. They're not really able to think for themselves. So what happened was the next expression of life that was created was the serpent races. And I'm not going to use time frames because time is really of no relevance. I can't give you exact years, it's just not you don't have numbers big enough. Trillions of years ago, okay, was the insects. Billions of years ago was the serpents. That's where I'll leave it. And the serpents came down, and with that energy of the white light of physical knowledge, they were able to go throughout these lower frequencies of realities, fourth dimension down to the third dimension, and build and create. And they had no one to go up against them, so they totally dominated and ruled, and they become very arrogant and very violent and very evil because they had no point of reference basically. They were just given free rein, and they were able to do whatever they wanted to do, and that's the way they were. And they know exactly what I'm saying because they're here with me today. And there is, they know this needs to be said. And they were really quite, brutal. And it took a while before God said, right, now I wish to have in this lower void, and that's why it's known as the void, we bring in the energy now of the white light, another set of beings. No one known as the bird tribes. And the serpents started gathering around an area known as Alpha Draconis. And the reason for that is star systems, like planets are beings, you're a being, and planetary bodies are being. Star systems are beings too. Okay, a galaxy is a being. We're all, it's different beings and broken down in different aspects. And so the being that played the role of Alpha Draconis started attracting life. Like you as a being attracts certain cultures of bacteria, certain cultures of viruses upon your own body, and they are all life forms, and you are a multicultural universe unto yourself. So it's just a fractal of the greater. So what I'm explaining is nothing crazy or it's just an understanding of a higher level of understanding there. And so they started gathering because the energies were right in Alpha Draconis for all these beings together. And then once the bird tribes came in, they started gathering around a place called Lyra, which is specifically around Vegan. That's where the Federation started a long time ago with its headquarters there. And after they sort of had differences for a very, very long time, down the track, two other beings came into formation, and they were, and I know the names of these beings, they were two star systems, and one of the beings is called Osiris. Osiris is the entire Orion star league. That's who that is. The whole Orion system is one being known as Osiris, and then another system came into play was Pleiades. I don't know the name of that being as yet. And there was another star, third one that came into being was Sirius, and that is the being we know as Isis, or Isis. Now these beings, because they operate on a higher level, they have the ability to manifest into embodiment here in this plane. Okay? That's why they were around at the early times of Egypt. They played a role as well. So they not only have played a role on a level of being a star system, they have also come here and experienced the reality here as well on an individual basis to gather that experience as well. Isis, we call her, on Sirius we know her as Isis, which means she lives. That's what that represents. And that's the energy of the mother goddess, the feminine aspect of God. She lives, and she is. And that's a very important thing to know, because I'll get to that in a moment. What these serpent races were really all about is their favourite pastime was to genetically create other forms of life, and they did it so they could use these other forms that they would create for their purposes. They were into the energy of control, manipulation, greed, power, ego, on all those sort of attributes, very dominant, aggressive sort of attributes. The bird tribes came into the fray, and they hung around the Pleiades star system, and they started playing genetically as well. But their angle on creating these genetic forms was slightly different. Their intent was more vanity, beauty, good health, longevity, those sort of attributes. While there were some Pleiadians that created genetic embodiments for slavery purposes, because they're always overlapping at a curve, of course. It's not like you draw a line and one is only that way, one is only that way. There is overlapping that occurs. The overwhelming majority did that for those purposes, okay? It was definitely for the beauty and the longevity and all that. And so what God had reached at a certain point in creation, and he had, in Orion, the serpents found themselves being attracted to that star system, because what happens is that depending on your molecular structure depends on the rate of the spin of your atom, okay? The energies involved in that star system were just right for the serpent races to create their ultimate genetic embodiment. So the genetic stream that comes out of Orion, the genetic stream in Orion is superior to any other genetic stream in creation.